Stable chat today. We are here out at Shelbourne, catching up with firstly Kate Hargreaves. Hello, Kate.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me.
We're here. We're a long way from the stable area. We're actually out in Flick's paddock. Flick is at the far end of the paddock. So if a horse comes galloping up in a minute, it means he's seen us and he likes it. But otherwise, he's just going to spend his time. It's actually a nice day out here. The weather's turned a little bit, even though it is in the middle of winter. It's actually quite a nice day. How's the stable going? Haven't had a bad week. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, it's going really well. I haven't had many racing at the moment, but the ones that are racing are performing well. Most of them are finishing in the top three, so you'll see a few new faces popping up at the races hopefully in the next few weeks, but it's been pretty quiet.
I'm going to say Gucci. You're going to say Gauchi. I'll get it wrong. Nice win the other night. Alan Tormey and yourself, you're a lethal combination, I reckon. I think Elle does a great job for a lot of people, but when she gets on one of yours, it's a dynamite sort of combination. But it was a good win. He won running away from them the last 50. Yeah,
it was a bit of a drop back in grade for him, and he sort of had it all his own way. But it was a good win, and probably will boost his confidence a bit. Alan drove him perfectly. She knows how I like my horses driven, and she always drives them like that. So it was good to give her another winner.
Definitely. Here at the stable, how many we got in work?
About 20 at the moment, yeah.
Good. Is that a good number for you? You're Jack McKinnon yourself, and then I saw Shannon O'Sullivan's here today. You have a few other people helping you out?
Yeah, I'd like to ideally do 25. That's probably my cap. So it's Jack and I, and we've got another staff member here, Cam, but he's off sick at the moment, so Shannon's just giving us a hand for the week, which is really good of her.
It is good, and she does a good job. We won't see the last lot of horses go past. Interesting little thing that I noticed when I walked in, 2 greys. There's not many stables, harness racing stables, would have 2 greys in the stable.
Yeah, we do have one grey, Ketis. He's my galloping pacemaker. He's the horse that lost an eye and unfortunately didn't really make it back as a racehorse, so he's our GP. And the other one's Jack's Trotter Silver Power. She's just started work after injury. So
very good. Trotters, paces. You don't mind any of those young horses? I did a little teaser, actually. You had a couple of young trotters that you bought from the nutrient sale just recently. How are they going? They're probably back in the paddock by now, are they?
Yeah, they've just gone to the paddock, so they'll have till the end of this month off and then probably start up again, have a month's work before going back to the paddock again. So just the 2 yearlings, but quite a few 2-year-olds working up, so I do enjoy the young ones.
I like both of those. Both were trotters. One was an Aldebaran Parker and one was Harasta Trotters from memory of Olstead and... No, I'm in all sorts of trouble with the other one. Father Patrick, but he was a lovely horse, wasn't he? A very big horse, but yeah, you'd be excited about him. I liked his action. You did too when you came back in.
Yeah, he's got a nice big long loping action, and he's pretty laid back. So Rita broke him in for me, and she's normally a pretty good judge, and she liked him. So it's all positive with him so far.
Must do a stable chat with Rita. Anyone says anything about people breaking in horses and the likes, Rita breaks them in. She must break in. I'd hate to think how many she breaks in a year, but she does a terrific job, doesn't she?
Yeah, fantastic job. They always come back looking $1 million, and she educates them beautifully. So, I'd highly recommend Rita. She does a really good job.
Rightio. Don't take another step back because you'll be out of the picture, which is what happens when people put a microphone in people's faces. They hedge away from it. Bendigo tonight, Wonga Lake. Been doing a terrific job. Mitch Sidebottom, he must be wrapped, but he's had a great season this season, and what probably looked a tricky draw now inside the second row on the fence because of the scratching makes it a little bit more appealing. His chances?
Yeah, she likes to be on the fence. That's where she races best. So if she could be maybe no worse than 3 fence, I think she's a great chance. But she's just in an absolute purple patch at the moment. When I first got her about 6 months ago, she was struggling to sort of run top 5 in the up to 54 races, and now she's running in the Mayor's Platinum sprint races, and I thought that her last start at Shep was really fantastic. She worked hard and faced the breeze for a little while and then was 1-1, so she was off the fence, and she still finished home for 3rd against some pretty handy mares. So she's just in the zone at the moment, but she'll just need a bit of luck tonight.
Good when mares get in a zone, isn't it? And especially this time of year, if a mare can get into a zone, I think it makes getting out of bed and working them a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I really love mares because when they are on song, they'll run through brick walls for you, and they really they just perform week in, week out really well, and she's sort of in that sweet spot at the moment. So, I love taking her to the races.
I think you like taking any horse to the races. I love the way you promote and do what you do. Tomorrow night, the 2 trotters, one's not returning, Bogart's on. We'll start with him for a start. Where's he at? Is he pretty much just because he's on that tricky mark? He's a lovely horse, just finds it a little bit hard to win.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of luck. He's run a fortnight back was actually a really good, if you go back and watch. He just sort of got carted back out of it, and one's probably not the ideal draw for him because he sort of always ends up buried back on the fence, but he's been running home good, and I think with some luck he'll definitely be winning in that grade, and I think he's got more wins in him, and he'll probably go back to the Country Cup circuit as well. But he's just got a lot of issues, and a lot of them have started with his feet, so I have to thank Jack and give him a lot of credit for getting the horse going, because he just, last year when I had him, he was just dropping out and just we couldn't get him going, and so now Jack's done a few things with his feet, and I think he's going really well, and he's probably not too far off a win.
Well, that's exciting. Tomorrow night, can you win?
Well, depends sort of where he ends up. I'm hoping he can get out the gate a little bit better, just to hold the 2-horse out, because it sort of crossed us last fortnight and carted him back a bit. But if he can sort of come out as hard as we can and maybe end up 2 or 3 back the fence, I wouldn't be surprised if he does bob up, but he does need that luck.
When does the Country Cups circuit, when does that start now? Because it's a bit different now with this, all the season change, everything's a little bit thrown out, but do you know roughly when the Cups will start?
I think around September they start back up again, so not too far away.
Which you'll be excited about, especially with the other bloke that we're going to mention. I'm not sure where he is, but...
as far away as he can be.
Right at the furthest point. It keeps going right around. Okay, no wonder I couldn't find him. Well defined. Firstly, tomorrow night. We'll start with tomorrow night. We'll worry about the well dones in a sec. But tomorrow night, first up, what would you expect from him tomorrow night?
He is a horse that probably needs a few runs under his belt to hit peak form, but he's had 2 really solid trials, and they haven't really rated him a mention in the form analysis, but I think if he can get a trail into it, he'll be running home. You know, he's a top 3 chance.
When I was here the other day, I think he was. You were trying a few things differently. We've done an in-cart, a track work of how you actually work him, putting him on the lead and the likes. But you've done a little bit more cart work with him this time to try and change it up for the old boy.
Yeah, he figured out that cantering on the lead was easier than trotting, so I couldn't get him fit because he'd just canter around. So I had to put him in the cart. This time around a few more times just to really screw him down, because he is a horse that can cop a lot of work and you need to have him pretty fit before he heads to the races. And it was just good to sit behind him as well, just to get a feel, because I don't get to really sit behind him that often, so I rely on Alan a lot for that kind of feedback of how he's travelling. So yeah, he's had a little bit of a different prep this time in.
And you're comfortable though with it, the way it's working?
Yeah, definitely. He's gone back on to the lead this week, and he's trotting now, so which is good. But yeah, I'm really happy with how he's come up, and he only had a short break, so he hasn't taken a long time to get him back up and fit. But I'm happy with where he's at.
He's a horse, and I know I didn't get into it because I just left it alone. But I said once on air that he finds it a little bit hard now off those handicaps. Now, when he was low flying and when he won the award that we're here to discuss in a minute, the handicaps weren't an issue. It's a bit back like when we were talking about Wonga Lake tonight. When they're in the zone, they don't seem to be a worry. But you and I had a couple of conversations that it just finds those bigger handicaps a little bit hard when he's not at his 100% form.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, he was absolutely in the zone. So he was winning off anything. He could have won off 50. So 40 and 30 metres was nothing to him, and he probably wasn't chasing home the ilk of trotters that he was later in the season when he was sort of running 4ths and 5ths. So there was a few different factors at play there. But after his last run at Horsham, I was a bit disappointed, and he didn't trot that good. And I had a good talk with Andy Gath. I was really grateful he took the time out to chat to me about the horse. And he said when they're running against, those better trotters like the Penny Drops and Have Horse Will Travel, if they're not at 100%, if they're just 99%, they get exposed, and it looks like they've gone really bad when they haven't. It's just because you've got to be at 100% to be sort of winning those races.
That racing question, and I think you were up a little bit on handicaps that day. I think that might have been when the conversation started. But those 2 horses you just said, Have Horse Will Travel and the Penny Drops, that was brutal. Like they went to war, like it was 1,000 out. They probably started at 1,200 out, and Flick's a beautiful little horse, loves the speed on. But there does come a point where it just gets a little bit too brutal, and those 2 guys at those, it was a brilliant cup. It's one of the best cups I think I've seen for a long time. Probably the Charlton Cup the week after. they did it again. But it was just, but they were brutal, weren't they? The way they went about it.
Yeah, it was insane, the run of those two horses. Like, they just did not stop running, and he was camped in behind the leader, and he does have excuses because he was sore, I found out later on, and wasn't trotting right. But I think even if he was 100%, he still wouldn't have got near them. That was just, it was phenomenal, and it just proves that you have to be absolutely on song to be able to compete with horses like that.
Now, I know he's a special little horse, and that's one of the reasons I do have my Woodlands gear on, because we did do a more than horse roughly about 12 months ago. It popped up on my feed the other day that it was 12 months ago, and time does fly. I reckon you might have got a shock with that. Firstly, congratulations. I mean, you knew you were going to win, but I think actually getting the trophy in the hand in a tricky year as well with COVID and the likes, but the Murray's Idol Trotter of the Year. Firstly, congratulations for that, and that must have been a great thrill for you.
Yeah, thank you. I actually got a little bit emotional going up and receiving the award, because it was nice to be acknowledged and to represent him and the little footage that they put together. It was a really proud moment for me, and I still feel a bit emotional thinking about it. It was it was a real highlight.
And as I discovered, and a lot of people who then went on to watch it, like, he does mean so much more. You get emotional about seeing it. I would imagine you also probably get a bit emotional. One, he can't be there with you, but he's been this horse that's just come along at this perfect time for you.
Yeah, exactly right. He did come along at a perfect time for me, and we bonded, and even now we've still sort of got that going on together, and he's so special, and it's hard to explain it to people. I mean, I love horses, and I've got lots of favourites out here, like a horse like Don't Care, my first Group 1 winner, and he's a character and he's a really likeable horse, and I love him. But with Flick, it's something different, because I feel like we went through something very traumatic together, and he was right there beside me. And I can't really describe it, the connection that we have, but it perfectly sums it up that he's more than a horse to me.
Yeah, he is. There's quite a few of them, though, out there, and the recognition. From our story, one of the things you said in that story was that you're going to start out on your own. It's always nervous. To have a horse like him back there just in the background all the time, is he like a bit of a security blanket for you now?
Yeah, definitely. It always lights up my face whenever he comes into the stable every day, and when I still have down days, I still battle with my mental health, so I still have those moments where I need him, and I go to him, and he just has this way of making me feel better, and he's very attuned to my emotions as well. He's a funny little horse, and he doesn't really like anyone, but he just picks up on my vibes when I'm not quite right, which is not necessarily when I'm just having a bad day or I'm stressed. If I'm just mentally not right, he sort of picks up on that. So, yeah, I still definitely rely on him for those sorts of things.
The feedback from our story was not necessarily the feedback, but what was the response like? Like, I know a few people are taken back that I spoke to and the likes. I think how raw you were, but has it, helped you, and has it highlighted an issue for a few other people in our industry?
Yeah, definitely, and the feedback was fantastic. I was really nervous about it airing, but so many people reached out to me from this industry that I would never expect were going through similar things to me, and I sort of, before the interview, I don't really have any close friends in the industry. A lot of my friends are outside the industry, but now I'm quite close with a few people that we sort of check in on each other, and it's really good to have that support because they understand what you're going through in this business as well, and it's just good to have those connections. But so many people came out and said, you're so brave. I wish, I could do that, and I wish more people would talk about it because they're going through the exact same thing. So I was really, really shocked and very appreciative of people reaching out, and I think there's still stigma around it, and it's still I was really nervous to talk about it and didn't want to be judged, and it still is hard to talk about, but I think it needs to be normalised because there's so many people that suffer, and especially in an industry like this where you are under a lot of financial pressure and pressure from owners, and it's sort of everything's out in the open. If your horses are performing bad, everyone knows it's on television, so there's sort of, I think it does need to be spoken about a lot more.
It's one of the things, as I've evolved doing this part of the business, doing camp drafting and the likes, we judge ourselves a little bit, what you just said then, too much on winning and not so much like, we say, how are you going? People would say, Kate's going bad, she hasn't had a winner for 6 weeks. Yet you might be having the time of your life because Flick might be doing things right, or the next lot of weanlings, or Don't Care starting to show that he's on the improve. We measure and judge ourselves and the industry too much on actually crossing the line first and getting that winner.
Definitely, and it's very easy to put all your self-worth on that, and if you don't have things outside of the industry to give you any easement from that, you can just head into this bad spiral, and then if things aren't going well, it sort of snowballs and goes from there. And you're exactly right, like, people judge how you're going based on your results, when it's at the end of the day, it's a job. If you're not excelling at it or things aren't going right, it doesn't mean that you're not okay or you're not doing well.
How are you going?
I'm much better now. Even I went back and watched that interview, and looking back there, I seemed okay, but I was still in a very dark place then, and it's probably not until this year that I've sought professional help, and I've really gotten on top of things, and I'm in a much better place, and I'm feeling back to sort of my old self, and but it took a lot for me to actually seek professional help, and it got to the point where I didn't do anything to help myself, and I ended up getting physically really, really sick, and that was kind of the turning point for me, where I realised, I can't keep going like this. I need to do something. Because when I went to the doctor, they said there was nothing physically wrong with me, even though I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed. So yeah, and that was a really hard thing to do. It was hard to talk to a stranger about, things that are very, very personal, but it's the best thing that I've done, and I'm not ashamed to say that, because now I'm in a much better headspace and I'm really enjoying working the horses, and it was a big step for me to sort of go out on my own, and things are going along pretty good, but yeah, it's something that I've always got to be wary of and know when I'm sort of not heading in the right direction mentally, and keep on top of it. So yeah, I'm in a much better space now.
I can agree with you, and I'll be honest, I got professional help as well. Went to doctors, went the whole yard, had the right people around me, one my wife, but then also some good close friends that guided me in the right direction, and does have a bad stigma about it, but the relief, it is a funny thing, I'm sure you're aware of it. You might go there the first 2 times and you think, what a waste of time this is. But then there's this, weird sensation that one day you go there and you're like, okay, I am normal. It's just a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. The biggest thing for me was putting a label on, because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and finding out and being able to put a label on it and know where to go from there. And I thought, it's not as bad as I thought it was, and this is normal. And I was like you, if I didn't have the support of the people around me, I've got an incredible family that have just, I can't even describe how much support they've given me, especially my mum and my brother Brett, and I've got really fantastic friends, and if I didn't have that support, I wouldn't have got professional help. But also at the end of the day, you can have all the support in the world, but unless you want to do it and you take that step, you're the only one that can save yourself, basically.
And that's exactly right. And you've got to implement changes and do changes. And I know you have done those. And like the original, that wasn't part of our discussion point. It was actually about Flick. And I'll be honest, you never, talked prior to that interview we did. There was no mention of what you were going to do. You actually floored me, and I did have a slight tear. Even today, I said, yeah, listen, let's just do it about how the stable's going. But I think it's great that you're so open and transparent about it. And then if you can help one person, that's half the key. And building something and changing it. So I think well done to you and doing it. I don't think you necessarily want to be a spokesperson for this, but I think it's great that you do come out and have these frank and open chats.
Yeah, and I think after the feedback I got last time from people, like you said, if I can just help one person, if one person watches this and it makes them feel better in some way, then that makes me feel really good. And there was recently a post on Instagram. Yelena Dokic is someone that I really look up to, and I've read her book, and she's been through a lot of horrific things in her life, and she posted a really raw post explaining how she'd attempted to take her life, and then she did an update a few months later of how she's travelling and that with that now, and that impacted me a lot in the way where I thought, you know, you're not alone and other people are going through the same sorts of things, obviously not to that degree for me, but just seeing it out there and normalising it, I think, has a much more profound impact than what we probably think. So hopefully there are people out there that watch this and are feeling maybe the same, and I hope that they reach out if they ever do want to talk to me about it, because that's what needs to happen. There needs to be more support and it needs to be a bit more normalised.
Kate, thank you. Didn't expect it to go this way. I might have asked you last year, what do you do as an out? Like I always say, like I run, and I'll be honest, I hadn't been running for a while, and I'm standing here now, my legs are cramping because I have gone for. But there is something about, like I love running. I know some people don't, but you do need a relief for your head. What do you do?
I'm the same. I like to run.
We're odd, aren't we?
I love running. That's just so good for me. I could be in a really bad headspace and then I go for a run and it just clears everything. I wish I could do it more often, but it's just being so busy and you're physically tired, it's hard to do that. But I also have, I find spending time with my friends that none of my friends are in the industry. They know nothing about horses. Just hanging out with them and not having to talk about horses, not have to think about horses. They don't know anyone in the industry, so we don't talk about anything. It's just a complete breakaway. It's a whole other world. I'm very lucky. I've got some really good friends in Bendigo, so I try to see them or just go there for dinner as often as I can, because that's just a really good mental break. So yeah, between that and running, I'm very conscious that I make sure that I do those things. A few months back, I stopped running and I didn't really see my friends because I was so focused and obsessed, I'll call it, with being successful at this. And I was just watching replays after replays, constantly thinking about the horses all the time. I was writing notes, I got so bad in my head. And I spoke to my mum and she said, you know, are you still running? Are you still seeing your friends? Are you eating right? Like mums do. But I stopped and I thought, well, I'm not. I'm just obsessed with this. And so then I took a step back and I sort of let myself let some things go and not think, you know, you have to be perfect all the time. And then there was an instant change. So it's something that you've got to be very aware of and you have to actually make yourself do it. Otherwise you can just get in this rut.
And keep getting back into this rut and over again. And I can well and truly sympathise. You don't train any worse either, do you? When you actually, like, you sit there and watch all these videos, or you probably train better. You probably see things a little bit clearer.
Yeah, that's it. You can just get so in your head about it and you overthink everything. But yeah, when I relaxed a bit more and just watched races for enjoyment instead of, you know, watching every single horse and having to overanalyze it, the horses certainly didn't go any better or worse. So
they tend not to. And your friends wouldn't ask if you've got a winner this week, last week, or whatever. They would actually ask how you're going, don't they?
That's exactly right. They the only time they ever talk about winners is if they see something on Facebook, say, oh, that was good. But yeah, they always say, how are you going? And they couldn't care less if I was getting winners. They're just proud of me for trying to run a business on my own and doing what I love. So yeah, it's good.
Kate, I appreciate everything you do. You've been terrific with Campbell's comments over the journey. I didn't come here today. I didn't come here for more than a horse to be that way, and I really do appreciate you using this platform for that. Well done to Flick, but it wasn't even a bad kept secret because it's just done on titles, but it's something that can't go away. Something brilliant around this area, like Shawnee McNulty won it a few years ago as well. It's something very good. Mick Barbie also has won it, so it's a great little thing here in central Victoria. But well done for that. But well done, one, for being so brutally honest, and hopefully things are tracking on the right way. So thank you very much for today. Good luck over the weekend, but better still, good luck for the future, Doll.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity to come on here and have a chat.